Well, folks, on this glorious Monday evening, wherever you are, I don't know where you are or what the weather's like where you are, but it is a Monday evening when this episode is being released. It's a Wednesday. That's right. Yeah, I was trying to stop and consider my days for a second. It is a Wednesday when I am recording this. And no, before you get your hopes up, this is not the interview with a very special guest that I have promised, a bigger guest on the show. But that is still, I hope, coming. It's gotten delayed a little bit. But if all goes according to plan, that interview will still be coming out soon. So stay tuned, subscribe for that. A little plug right off the bat. And again, we're back with the lapel mic today because, yes, my main studio mic is still out of commission, but it will be back as well. Never fear, we'll have some high-quality audio again. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different with all that out of the way. We're going to do a movie review. I've done a book review before. I've never done a movie review, and that movie review we're doing is the new Daily Wire movie, Daily Wire Plus movie, Am I Racist? It's been in theaters since, I believe, September 13th, and it is now, it's been out for a couple weeks. I went and saw it last night, finally. I had kind of been putting it off, but I did finally go see it, and I'm so glad I did. It was hilarious. We're going to discuss it and read some articles and all that fun stuff. Am I Racist movie review coming next on Fight and Revive with Adam Boyer.
America is no longer one nation under God. Are you ready to fight for a revival? Well, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Fight and Revive with Adam Boyer.
So yes, Am I Racist is out. It's been out again since, like I said, since I believe September 13th. It is about Matt Walsh, host of the Matt Walsh Show on the Daily Wire, transforming himself, basically going undercover, quote unquote, as a certified DEI expert and infiltrating a bunch of different racist circles. When I say racist, they're supposedly the anti-racist circles, such as Race to Dinner, and interviewed Robin DiAngelo, which I thought was just hilarious. So he got, the main premise of the movie is he's trying to answer the question, am I racist? Very similar format to what was the movie that this is basically the sequel to, What is a Woman? So he goes around, and of course this one was released to theaters, Daily Wire's first ever theatrical release. So he goes around to all these different people, talking to them, interviewing them, supposed experts on DEI and race and all that, all those subjects. And it almost, by the time you get done with the movie, it's almost like, wow, it's just so much of the left's agenda and talking points have just been thrown in my face the entire time. A lot of it is comedic, and it's played off for laughs, but there is some moments where the person that's being interviewed by Matt is just not knowing, of course, that they're being interviewed for this movie. They're just going on about it, and it's just like, wow, I'm ready to be done with this. It's just leftist talking points over and over and over coming at you. And the people just talk themselves into circles. Their whole racial ideology is completely inconsistent. Matt does an excellent job at exposing that. The thing I was most impressed about was first of all, how Matt did not smile or laugh at some of the stuff. I mean, how he just keeps his deadpan face. It was very impressive. I must give him props there. And the style, basically, well, I'll say first what I was impressed about beyond that was how gullible the people they were interviewing. So some people will be tempted to say, yeah, there's no way they could have gotten those people to actually do that. It's all staged. He interviewed real race experts. I can't remember a lot of the names, but there were several different people he interviewed who are bigger names in the racial industry. I almost call it, because that is what it has become for the left. There was the mom of the girls who supposedly didn't get their high five from the Sesame Street character dressed up in the costume several years back. There is some low-level PhD race baiters, but then the climax of the movie before it starts to wind down is when he interviews Robin DiAngelo, and she put out a statement on social media before the movie was released, basically trying to cover her tracks. It was like, yeah, I was interviewed for this movie, but I thought it was fishy the whole time. They offered me some money to do this, which she accepted, and said they were doing it under a different name. They wanted to do a documentary on race or whatever, and they fooled her. She was like, well, I thought it was fishy the whole time, and she listed a bunch of stuff she was skeptical about them, but she did a 2-hour interview with them, and she didn't recognize Matt. So, I mean, I just could not believe Robin DiAngelo was as gullible as she was. And then the best part, I don't want to ruin the movie here. There are going to be some spoilers in here, so fair warning. However, one of the best parts is when Matt literally gets her to pay reparations to a black guy, and I'm just going to leave it at that, but it is hilarious.
Hello, folks. Allow me to briefly interrupt you for a moment. If you would consider subscribing and helping us on the road to 500, that would be fantastic and very much appreciated. We're almost to 500. Help us get there.
As far as the format of the movie goes, it is like part documentary, part comedy. So basically you have, like, it's very comedic. It was actually a movie. I have not laughed that hard at some movies in quite some time. And go figure, yeah, me, political guy over here, of course I'm going to find it humorous, but I think a lot of people would, even with vaguely an idea of what's going on in the political landscape of today, will think it's funny. I was at our theater in Lynchburg, and it was not sold out, but it's a pretty full house in there, and there's a lot of people in there. We were just dying laughing. It was a good time. So it was a really good comedy, for one. But there was also a seriousness to it as well. He was exposing the racial industry and the race hustling industry, and he did a really good job of that. And most of the time it wasn't even him talking, it was just him asking questions, not in a provocative or gotcha manner, just asking simple questions. And he would have them talk themselves into circles. I mean, their entire ideology is completely incoherent, and he did a fantastic job of exposing that. As far as the reception to the movie has been, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Unsurprisingly, movies like Am I Racist often do well on... sorry, I lost my train of thought. Movies like... I was trying to type out here something so I could show you an example here. But movies like Am I Racist often do really well with the audience. So, for example, Am I Racist? 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Nefarious, Steve Dace's movie, released last year, has 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to look up Reagan here. Obviously, a horrible critic review. 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, Reagan. The audience loves these. Regular moviegoers, even if it is targeted at a very specific audience, they absolutely love these. So again, you're not going to get a Democrat probably even going to see this movie and leaving a review. But those that go, even if they are, you're hardcore Republicans, I'm looking down this, I'm trying to type up something so I can show you all something here. But even the audience that goes, they're very much happy with it. For example, I left a very positive review on Rotten Tomatoes, which I do with very few movies, about Reagan, because Reagan was a well-done movie. It was not cheap. I don't go to see the cheap, the conservatively made documentaries about some supposedly important issue that's really cheaply made, and I wouldn't find that interesting. I just don't. I'm not just strictly a political machine in that way. I go to see movies I think I'll want to watch. And so Reagan was one of those. Reagan, which I may do a full movie review on that, just did a really good job. It was high quality. They had good CGI even, which is just not that common in kind of your small studio made movies. It was great acting. I mean, the storyline worked well. Everything in Reagan was fantastic. This movie might have been even better than Reagan, but for a completely different reason. It was such a different kind of movie. Reagan is a drama and a historical movie, and it's being told to you through John Voight narrating it. This is a comedy. About where the relationship between the two movies ends. The relation between the two movies ends is that Matt also narrates it for part of the time. But again, comedy and documentary mix just worked really well, and I was really happy that it worked well for Matt. So the critic reception has been actually not as negative as you would think. Again, great on Rotten Tomatoes. The critic rating actually is 73%. As far as I know, no mainstream critic has reviewed it so far, but it does have 73% on Rotten Tomatoes from 11 critic reviews. The top one from Adam Olinger, I do not know who that is, but apparently he has a YouTube channel, which I will not shout out. His review, it didn't make me laugh very much. I'm not surprised, Adam. You're appear to be at least mostly white guy, and no doubt being a movie critic, very liberal. So yeah, you were probably not the intended audience of this. So, although, yeah, no, white guys were definitely the intended audience of this, myself included. But yeah, the liberal, obviously not going to find it funny. It didn't make him laugh very much. I'm not surprised because A, leftists have no sense of humor. B, even if they did, that's not the kind of humor they're going to find funny, poking fun of their own ideology. As far as the box office goes, it has made over $9.5 million. I'm looking at Box Office Mojo here by IMDb Pro. Made over $9.5 million so far. Made, I believe, over $4.5 million on the opening weekend, which again was September 13th. It's still in theaters now. At least it is at my local theater. It took them a little time to get it, but they did finally get it in, and went ahead and saw it with some friends. So I'm really happy that it's doing well for them because it really is a quality movie. I'm not just, like I said, I won't just hype up a movie because it's supposedly conservative or whatever. It was actually a good movie. Am I Racist and Reagan were two movies I've enjoyed a lot. One of the few new movies I've enjoyed a lot. There are some. Sound of Freedom obviously was great. Even one movie that not a lot of people have ever heard of because it was released to Disney Plus. And yes, my family has Disney Plus, and so no, I do not pay for it, but I do have a family member that does, and so I have watched stuff on their account before. But one movie that was released to there, which is historical fiction, was called Togo, about a sled dog in the sled run to Nome in 1925. You have to go watch the movie. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. It's more of a niche movie, actually. I guess not a lot of people know about it. But the point is, there's not a lot of new movies that have been released, especially by big studios, that I truly enjoy. Reagan and Am I Racist, smaller studios, absolutely love it. Anyway, folks, wrapping up, Am I Racist was a hilarious movie. It also had a good message, which was to expose the racial grifting industry. Go see it if you can in your theater. I assume it will also be released at some point to Daily Wire Plus as well. So thank you, folks, for watching. Go, now that you've watched my video, and it's wrapping up, go see Am I Racist. In the words of our great president, look here, Jack. I'll challenge you to push-ups, but that's neither here nor there. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fight and Revive YouTube channel and help us reach more people with our conservative message.